Okay, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to invite Mr. Sutaria to comment on what we've just spoken about. Russ, over to you, sir.
There you go. Well, thank you, Steve. I think you pretty much covered it in terms of the overall requirements. But one thing I would like perhaps to address, it's certainly challenging a lot of organisations, whether they are maintenance, repair and overhaul organisations for that matter, even full-blown operators of aircraft. And that is the problem of feedback to reports that have been issued by our personnel. You see, there are two people that we have to consider, especially when a safety management system, to try to understand why there is a failure or a lack of reporting. There are two. One, the triers. Somebody who sees a system, thinks it's a good idea and tries it out. They see it, they see something, say an oil spill on a ramp somewhere, they report it. And then there are the dismissers. Now, the dismissers will just say, yet another extra job I have to do. I'm not paid to do this. I'm not bothering with it. It's a waste of time. They're not going to do anything with it anyway. So when we look at feedback, it's critical. If I am able to provide not only a system into which I can report a safety event, the system must be able to quite reactively revert back to the same person and say, thanks very much, got that information. Interestingly enough, 9 other guys reported the same sort of thing. We're looking into it. Suddenly they think, wow, the system works. Now, had it been another person, I've submitted a report for the oil on the hangar floor, but I've heard nothing for days, weeks, months. Am I going to use the system again? The likelihood is I'm just going to dismiss it after that. And that is utterly key to the development of a system such as this, if you want to sell it to your staff. The key here is that if I am able to provide, dare I say the words, great service, those who report, they're going to say, in terms of feedback to us, great service, guys, but more particularly, they sell it to the dismissers. To say, hang on a minute, I put a report in, not only have I been brought on board, I've been told, acknowledged that the report's there, they've actually given me some feedback on it. Not only that, I've been asked to actually contribute to the issue that's been identified. Two things come out of this. Number one, you are proving to people that the system works. And number two, the most important is that we are going to start developing two important terms in one phrase when it comes to safety management reporting. Buy-in. If I can encourage my triers with a great service, I can try and use them to get buy-in from the dismissers. And this is one of the key issues that we have always talked about when considering some of the problems of a lack of reporting. It's not that people aren't reporting here, guys. It's that sometimes the system is not reactive enough or proactive enough to say, somebody's bothered to report. We can at least send an email back saying we received a report. But if we send nothing back, people feel as if they've been ignored and it's a waste of time. They don't even know if the report got to them. So from that point of view, as Steve has pointed out, virtually everything, there's not much more I can actually talk about it. But the real key here is ultimately that if we don't have data and we don't acknowledge the data that is being reported, we can't use the service of safety management to feed back to be able to gain buy-in from those who are dismissing the system in the first instance. So I don't think there's anything more I would like to perhaps add to that in the situation other than to talk about ensuring that when we are looking at marketing a reporting system, especially where we're talking about Part 145 and maintenance organisations, any 145 could be anything from a single A-check hangar all the way up to a complex A-check, C-check hangar plus workshops. How do I find and where do I find the forms? Simple question, really. Yeah, you can find it on the network. Or actually, mate, there's an internal web page. Okay, all you have to do is type your stuff in. Okay, hit return. Bang, it's done. Okay, where can I get access to it? Well, if you're on the line, it's your crew rest area. If it's in the hangar, same place. Oh, by the way, we've got it in the canteen. There's a computer in the corner. Whack it off on that. Done. Okay. Another issue, Steve, perhaps you'd like to contribute on that, but one of the biggest problems I've always experienced when I go through hangars is if I'm looking for even a simple safety reporting form on paper, I have to go half a mile down to the other end of the hangar to do it. Okay, when it should be easily accessible anywhere. So although we talk about the theories of why we have difficulties reporting, one of the more practical ones is accessibility. Is the report form or a computer available to me right where I am? I see the oil leak on the hangar floor. I go and report it. Just to give you an example that I've experienced, we had a guy who was on his way home. He'd finished his shift. He's walked out the hangar doors. He's crossing over the apron because his car park is on the other side of the apron. He was heading home. It must have been about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. His shift was ended, and he walks past and he notices on the apron directly in front of the hangar doors a large amount of oil on the apron. So what do you think he did? Walked straight past it, went to his car and went home. He said, and when we asked him in the end, why didn't you report it? You saw it. He said, oh, somebody else will report it. Okay, so we said, what can we do to be able to say that he can report it straight away? Now, I'm not saying that some of the organisations I'm talking to in this particular room are going to be the same as major international organisations with bags and bags of resources and money. But I can say to you, one of the things that we addressed in this is actually to create an app and put it on one of these, a mobile phone. Now, depending on how you want to do this, the one thing that we found by actually creating an app for Android or for Apple iPhone or whatever you've got, whatever the people have got, is that they've got their apps in their hands all the time. Therefore, they can develop an app with simple reporting that can go from the app directly into the safety office within your organization. And it can be done right there. Add to that, our app had the ability to take photographs. So from that point of view, not only can I give you an explanation of what I found, I could take a photograph of it and take it to send it to your safety office as well. Suddenly, with especially the younger generation that we all have to work with, who are pretty much living in one of these, okay, this is perhaps a more important approach to be able to encourage effective safety reporting. But that, as I said, is only the part of it. Feedback to reports that have been sent are, in my opinion, critical. If I am able to respond almost immediately to a report with a photograph, thanks very much. In actual fact, it might interest you to know you're not the only one who reported it. There were 9 other guys, so we've got 10 reports on oil spills in the hangar. We're going to get into it. We're going to investigate it. We're now going to take this onto the risk register, and we're going to start investigating with a view to corrective actions. So it's important for you guys to remember, in my opinion, that you've got to make the reporting system as accessible as you possibly can. Now, I'm not saying that you are going to be the likes of some of the high-end operators or the high-end maintainers in the world today who've got those kinds of resources to develop an app. But even having access to it on a computer, in the hangar, in the crew rest area, in the document control hub, makes it easier for the guys to report because, oh, well, I'll just pop in there 2 minutes. The reason why that guy didn't bother reporting was he had to go all the way back into the hangar, all the way back to the dock control hub, all the way into to see the supervisor to get a reporting form he had to fill out. Guess what? It was the end of his day. He couldn't be bothered.
Okay, so, Rustam, thank you very much, sir. We're at almost, let's see, 50 minutes now, and we've hit the first question. So you understand the challenge of why it's difficult to get through all this information. So I'm going to go to the next question. Why is the role of safety management misunderstood in some organizations? Let's just have a few shared understandings. The safety manager is not responsible for the SMS. Sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, doesn't it? But it's true. Why? Because the business area owners and managers are responsible for SMS. The safety manager is not expected to sit on the safety review board. This is from EASA, and may attend the safety action group. Think about it this way. It's actually an indicator of the effectiveness of an organization where the leadership and management teams have both the understanding and competence to fulfill their roles within the organization SMS. So it's a very, very interesting concept. And when you look at what the safety manager does within the organization, quite often it's not what I've just read at all. Means that the safety manager is trying to do everything possible to make the safety system work. The safety manager acts independently of other managers within the organization. That's how it should be. And the safety manager reports directly to the accountable manager. That's how it should be in an effective organization. So do you agree with these statements? This is how it should be, of course. Safety manager is responsible for providing information and advice to senior management and to the accountable executive on matters relating to safe operation. The safety manager is a service provider providing essential information, including facilitation of hazard identification, risk analysis and management, monitoring the implementation of the safety action plan, provision of periodic reports on safety performance, ensuring maintenance of safety management documentation. So